to me, like if I were to rank the coolest things I've been a part of, winning the first Toyota All-Star Showdown that we won out in California with Kobaluk in 2006. We won it again in 2009 after the whole Logano Sellers last lap wreck.
Were you there in 2005?
In where?
At the shootout?
Yeah.
So that was the year when Stefanik was leading and they had a late caution for something else, and then Mike Olson got into him, like they all checked up, and Stefanik got spun out and they threw him to the back. You were there on that race?
Yeah, I was with Ryan Moore. I was full-time with him in 2005, and then he moved down south with Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, and I got the job with Kobaluk the next year. But yeah, Olson got DQ'd from the race as well.
He did?
Yeah.
What do you mean, like in post-race? Or
yeah,
for
he
that?
did not win the race. He took the checkered flag, but he did not. I believe they said wheels. I don't know if that's exactly what the DQ was for. So I think David Gilliland ended up being the winner.
I think that's right, yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
Stefanik was so fired up about it afterwards. It was almost like a precursor to the infamous Daytona scenario. It also was basically his last Busch North race. Like he was pretty much done after that. And also it was just a unique scenario. And like those are one of those things, like when you get called an accident car in that situation, that's something I feel like everybody who races or has been a part of a race team, you can relate to being on the bad end of what you think's a bad call, or you think you're getting screwed, right? Like,
I guess I'm that guy. Right?
You're that guy, of course. However, there's not a lot of people to talk about it. Andy Santerre, I did interview, and he was in that race, but I didn't find out about that moment until after I interviewed him.
He probably wouldn't have known either, because I don't really remember it because you're watching your car at that point.
Right.
So I know that we got screwed. I can tell you we got screwed by Joey McCarthy in that race, and I threw a water bottle after.
Oh, really?
After the race, but that is nothing that I would promote now. By the way, but I was young and dumb back then.
You know, the thing is, like, again, this is the fascination I have with history is I'm watching this event in 2005. It's on the other side of the country.
Yeah.
And there's like over a dozen guys that I know, and their cars I know. They're my guys. It's Stefanik and Andy and Matt's there, and there's a ton of them in this race. And there's just not races like that anymore. There's no equivalent to that race now.
That was the greatest race. Like people always ask me, "What's the best racetrack?" That is the best racetrack. It's super sad that it's going away.
Yeah,
it put on the best racing, and I can't say my own racetracks because it would sound stupid anyway. So, Irwindale was awesome. That event was awesome. The way they treated all of us. It was a week-long event with like a pit crew competition in the streets. Like,
that's cool.
Glenn and I, like, we talk about it all the time. I don't get to talk to him as much as I used to, but that was our second home. Like, we loved the Hilton Garden Inn in Arcadia, California.
Yep.
We worked all year just to get to that Hilton Garden Inn. We loved everything about it. That whole event, it was perfect.
So was it a thing where you were like pre-qualified?
Top 15 in points.
From the Busch
East
North?
and the West.
Okay, at that time it was East and West. Yeah, got it. Okay.
It was Busch North, but it was the East Coast.
Gotcha. Okay,
and then Winston West.
Yep, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, those were cool events, man. And I actually was surprised that, I mean, I knew about the dual championships, but I didn't know that Stefanik was like, he basically left twice in the early 90s and then the early 2000s. Like, he left the modifieds and was a Busch North guy.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And again, just goes to show how prominent that series was. I had a lot of fun interviewing Andy Santerre.
He's a good guy.
And I thought, just by talking to him on the phone, it's weird the things that you pick out when you're talking about interviewing people, but like Andy has this folksy charm to the way he talks that is like engaging to listen to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but that said, if he was a bumbling idiot, it wouldn't be that charming. But I mean, he's well spoken and he's obviously very well accomplished. And I had a lot of fun hanging out with him. I basically drove up there and did the interview, and then I hung out and talked with him and his wife for like, I don't know, probably close to 2 hours afterwards. He was just a really good guy.
Glenn and I would always have this thing where, because Andy was the same all the time. He'd be, "Hey, what's going on? Hey, hey," and you'd ask him how are you doing? Oh, got a good car. That's always what he said. And we would do that at the shop all the time. But we were not making fun of Andy. It was a term of endearment.
Right. That's just who he is. Yeah.
He's
he had this great story, and I thought he said it on camera, and it was one of those things. I just told this story similar with Hirschman on the last live show that we did. It was something that he said after we shut the cameras off, and Andy was talking about this time where, so it's early 2000s. They're both working for the Grisgo team there, Steve Griswold. And so Andy's setting up the cars. I think it's him, Andy, and Brad Layton. They were all kind of...
Yeah, Brad ran the 35 car part-time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So they're going to... I want to say Dover, and Andy basically just has a short track car. Mike's got a short track car and a big track car. They're going to Dover, and Andy's telling Mike, we're going to set up the big track car. I'll have the short track car, but that's all I got. But, you'll be fine. I'll hook you up. And he's saying, I'm generally thinking that he's going to have the far better car. We're going to Dover. I got the short track car. It's not really going to cut it. Mike was insistent. No, I want the short track car. And Andy was like, I didn't want to, we had some hard discussions, but it was my job to prepare the cars, and I had to make those decisions, and I kind of had to, put my foot down, like this is what we were going to do. And come to find out, we went down there, and he's like, I honestly thought I was giving Mike the car to win, and his car was a bag of shit, and I won the race. He's like, Mike was not happy with me afterwards. I was like, son of a bitch, dude. Why you got to tell me this on camera? Let's go. But, I mean, those are the kind of things those are the stories that you need when you're doing a documentary, because that talks about Mike's competitiveness, and you can show highlights of the race all day long, but that's not what we're doing here. And so I was kind of a little bit bummed when he said that. I mean, it's still a great story. I'll always remember it, but yeah,